Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today at Juanette's Crafting Corner for my Slow Stitch Saturday. In my last Slow Stitch video, I showed you how to use the basket weave stitch that I used to create Fiona's blanket that goes underneath my craft desk. The next thing I'm going to do is outline with some blue wool thread each one of these little squares, and then we will add Fiona onto the blanket. But I wanted to show you just the full scale of the piece, my still life project, which I'm still working on, before we head over to my craft desk. So let's head over there now. I couldn't resist putting a picture of my sweet little girl laying on her blanket, but I wanted to show you the blanket itself and how it is, or actually, it's a towel, a beach towel. But do you see the lines in between each one of those squares? That's what I'm going to do next. So this is the type of hoop that I've decided to use to be able to stitch in between these. So what you do is you slide this underneath your piece, and then you have these bars that snap over it. And they're really nice. You know, normally we would have those wooden round hoops. This is a different idea, and I like the way they work, and there's some really big ones. They're sometimes difficult to get off your piece, though. That's the only thing. And then you twist it, and see, I didn't get it. I've got it too close. That's not going to work. So let me pull it off. They're really hard to get off those sometimes. Let's try again now. I really only want just a little bit of an edge here. Let's try that. And see, my OCD is just, that has to be even. Oh my gosh, I tell you, you guys. I want it straight on the piece. Okay. Or straight-ish. Okay, that is perfect. And then you roll it so to get that bar out of the way, and then you can put your top one on. And then you can roll them, and that makes it tight. I think I got these off of Amazon. Let's just slip this one on here. What that's doing is really stretching out those squares. I think I'm going to bring it in a little bit so it doesn't distort them as much. Boy, that is tight. I'm going to pull one off, and I'm going to turn the camera off while I finagle this, and then I'll be back with you guys. Okay, I'm back. So I got these on, and what I found is if I left a lot of fabric down in there and then put these on, it didn't distort it as much. What I'm using is this variegated blue yarn. I think more than likely I bought this when I was in Australia. And what I'm going to do is just come in at one corner and lay this down like this. And then I will come back and couch it so that it's um, more secure in between those blocks. So yeah, I'm just going to do some rough um, stitches first, just across it back and forth. So I hope everyone is doing well today. I'm doing fantastic. I'm kind of on a time crunch though. I think I told you guys I'm watching my grandchildren, and my granddaughter Olivia, her phone, something happened with the SIM card, and her phone only works if she's got Wi-Fi. She's got a phone, it's kind of working, but it's only working with Wi-Fi. So she's had her phone apparently 4 years, and her dad said she's taken good care of it, and it's probably kind of on the way out anyway. So he ordered her a new one, and it was supposed to be delivered yesterday. And so I spent the whole day at my daughter's house waiting for this phone to come. It didn't come. We had a tracking number, and hope I'm in focus. We had a tracking number, and it said it hadn't been picked up yet. So I waited at her house all day yesterday waiting for this phone. Never showed up. My son-in-law, I messaged him and said, it says it hasn't even left California. And so I got a message from him this morning telling me that now it's supposed to be delivered today between 2 and 6, which means then I have to be at my daughter's house because we have to sign for it. You know, somebody has to be there to sign for the phone. So that means I can't be here at my house, you know, filming or crafting at my house. So anyway, so I've got to get this video done and then head over there by 2 o'clock. So yeah, so I'm having a good time with the grandkids. Like I said, though, they're teenagers and kind of they're doing their own thing. So now I'm going to flip this over. Oops. And tie this off. You guys can see the back. So I started off by doing this, but these knots here, because I was ending off the yarn, and it was causing a difficult time. They were such huge knots that it was causing a difficult time for me to be able to stitch through those knots. So then I started doing this, where I was just thinking, I'm not going to worry about using up a lot of yarn, because it was just causing a lot of hassle. So I started doing it the other way. So that's the way what it looks like on the back. Okay, so that was a pretty good amount. I think I got those. I could probably make it a little bit longer. So anyway, so yeah, I'm on a time crunch because then I have to go back to my daughter's house and wait for a phone, and I will probably take this piece with me and do some of the canthor stitching in the background, because it's something that I can do while I'm there. And it only takes this and a little bit of, thread, as to where if I take another crafting project, it's more difficult to pack up. Okay, now we'll start here in this corner. Yeah. So you guys know that I'm on Medieval Mirage's design team, and I'm finishing up the French journal where I used her fresco fragments kit. And so I messaged her and I asked her, "What, do you have a new kit out?" And she does. It's called Pink Shabby Grunge or something like that. But she doesn't have the add-on kit yet in her shop. And so I said, well, I'm going to wait to use that kit until you have the add-on, because I like having that add-on stuff. And but she sent me another kit that she thought I might be interested in. I'm waiting for her to send me the link to be able to download it, but that's going to be my next journal. I think it's called Letters, Ledgers, and Ladies. So go over and check it out. I will be showing it to you guys when I go to start on that journal. But I also asked her about a name for titling the videos that I do. I know Rachel has Medieval Mirage Mondays, and I didn't want to do the same kind of a name. So, and most of my journal making videos are on Tuesdays. So I don't want that to be too tight. I got to make sure I don't go too tight. Anyway, so I wanted something with Tuesdays. And so what I've decided to call my Tuesdays videos are Medieval Mirage Timeless Treasure Tuesdays. Isn't and I know it's very wordy, but it kind of does roll off the tongue, you know. So that's going to be the name of my new Tuesday videos. I always love when I'm ready to start on a new journal. It's so fun to look at the kit and get your brain going, deciding like, how do I want this to look? Do I want a specific theme? The last journal, like I said, was French. You guys know that, and I will be doing a flip through of it coming up. I'm hoping I'll be able to finish and have it as Tuesday's video. But like I said, because I'm not at my own home, I'm not able to work on it. So, but like I said, I will do a flip through of it. And then I will also have them for sale in my Etsy store. I have two of them. One is specifically using all of the fresco fragments kit. And then the other one, I use that kit along with a couple of other kits. Now, doesn't this just add? This just finishes this off and makes this look really good. Come on, don't break on me. That's what I found a lot of the times is my wool thread was breaking. It was the ones I got from the Shetland Islands. They were very fragile. This one feels more sturdy. I think I'll be able to finish it off with this thread. Okay. Just ever so slightly tighten in this edge. And then what I will do is get some thin blue thread to couch this down at each corner. So that it lays flat. Okay, turn this over. Try not to bump the camera. Oh. So I will tie this off. I'm going to go get the other thread I want to use to couch this down, and also get the thread that I'm going to use to couch Fiona down on her blanket. And I will be back with you guys. So this is the thread. It's just a DMC. It's not even numbered. I don't know where I got it, but I think that is a perfect color. And I'm just going to take, I think, do I want 1 or 2 strands? I'll do 2 strands. Or do I do 3 so that it keeps it? I think I'm going to do 3. Because most of the time, unless you're doing something really delicate, you are going to use at least 3 strands. Okay, and then I can use a smaller eyed needle. Let's see here. I think this one will work. We're just going to thread this up. And what couching is, it is where you are just tacking a thread down with another thread. Let me grab a book that has those terms, and let me give you the proper terminology or definition of it. So I wanted to share this book with you. It is called A to Z, or Z, depending on where you live, but we say Z in the United States, A to Z of Embroidery Stitches. There's a part 2, which has even more stitches. It's from Search Press Classics. I love this book. It has every kind of stitch you could imagine. And couching is, let me just bring you in focused. Couching is used to work outlines or to fill shapes. A thread or group of threads is secured to the fabric with tiny, evenly spaced stitches worked with a second thread. Mark a line on the fabric. So do you see how they're taking the red thread and just laying it down? And then they're taking the yellow fabric or thread, the yellow thread, and couching that down. It helps a lot with curved threads or images. So there's different kinds of couching. And as I was flipping through the book, this is called trellis couching or Jacobean couching. And it's where you take a foundation of long straight stitches which are couched down with small cross stitches, which is exactly what I'm doing. So I've got long stitches laid down, and then I'm going to come in and couch these down with this second DMC thread into squares so that the wool thread is right where I want it to be. But I didn't have to stitch the wool thread through each one of these areas. And the reason I've decided to do that is, like I said, is number one, the wool thread was breaking at times. And to go through and stitch down each one of these little squares would have been difficult to do. It would have maybe distorted the squares, so it's just easier to come in with a second thread that's thinner that would go through the wool threads that I've already laid down. So I'm going to pull this one closer, bring up my thread on that corner, and what I'll do is bring you guys in closer so you can see what I'm doing. So I came in on this corner here, and then now I'm going to go to the opposite corner and lay down a stitch. And then I'm just going to cross stitch it. I'm wondering if I should have started on the inside first. It may be okay if Miss Fiona's going to be on the inside. But you see how that brings that down to that edge? So now we're going to come here, I'm going to pull this one, and I want to, actually what I think I'll do is come up here first on the outside, and then that way it's easier to go down and pull this blue thread close to the edge where it needs to lay. And then now we'll just come up here on the opposite and go down. Perfect. Once again, I'm going to come up here on the outside and bring this wool thread closer to the edge and put down a stitch. And then we'll come up to the other side and bring this down. Yeah, that's making it nice. So I'm going to continue to do this, and then I will be back with you guys once I have finished the majority of it. I'm not sure if I'm going to do all of it there because a lot of it's going to be hidden. Some of that's going to be hidden. I still may have to do it because that's where my sweet little Miss Fiona is going to go. So, like I said, I'm going to continue doing this, and then I will be back with you guys. So I finished couching down the outside thread, and I think it really made her little blanket look real finished and nice. So here is my stitched piece of our sweet little girl. Now, the approach I decided to do to attach my sweet Miss Fiona is, remember, originally I was going to needle turn this down, but boy, that was very difficult. So what I decided to do instead is take these scissors. I absolutely love these spring-loaded scissors. And I just cut around her as close as I could to cut off the other fabric that was behind there. Now, do I want her off to a side? You know what I need to do is lay this out flat and take a look at it and see what would look the best. So what I did is I took it to an area where I could look at the complete piece, and it does look better if I have her over to one side. And I think that's just about perfect right there. So what I'm going to do is come in with just a piece of thread that is the same color that I stitched her in, and I'm going to start anchoring her down. And it will be easy because it's exactly the same thread that I have used to thread paint her. So I'm just going to come around. That's pretty thick to go through all of this, but I think it's still going to be okay. Isn't she cute? Oh my gosh. So since I am taking care of my grandkids, I'm not sleeping at my house. And when I do go home after I drop my grandson off to school, I'll go home for a few hours while the kids are all in school. She goes nuts, and she's like thinking, Mom, why aren't you here with me? She's jumping all over me, and yeah. The other thing is I'm realizing is this was the area where I had doubled it over and glued that down, and it's really difficult to go through. So I'm glad I decided to not fold that over and glue all of that down. It would have been difficult to get it to the edge, get her all the way to the edge. Just bring that up a little bit. So I recently had one of my friends who's a subby. I haven't met her before, but I definitely am going to meet her one of these days. She asked me about my rings. And this ring here is a Tree of Life ring. And I bought that ring in Mexico a while back. But she asked me about my other ring, and I'm going to show it to you guys. It's this ring here. And this ring I just bought when I was in Scotland. It's a band, and it has the Scottish thistle, which is, can get it up close and focus it. Okay, right there, that is the Scottish thistle, which is their national plant. And then it's got some other things in there. I'm not sure what that other thing is. But yeah, every other one is the thistle. So yes, Steph, I did buy that in Scotland. So I'm going to go just all the way around here and tack this down really well so that it doesn't come up. But like I said, the neat thing is the thread is just like the thread I used when I thread painted her. So, okay, now we're gonna, I need to kind of be a little bit systematic here so I don't miss a spot. So yeah, this area right here where I glued that section down is really difficult to sew through. I almost need my pliers for this. I'm going to back you out a little bit. Make sure you're in focus. Okay. I probably should go all the way around the image first and make sure she's tacked down real well, and then go on the inside. Yeah, that is really difficult to get through. It's really hot here right now in Arizona. You guys have heard me talk about the summer heat here. This is definitely our hottest month, August. And we did get a little bit of a, what I thought was going to be a thunderstorm last night. There was a lot of thunder going on and lightning, but I don't think we ever really got any rain. Maybe it'll come in today. So do you see how perfect this is? That this is exactly the same color of thread that I used. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and off camera, go all the way around her and tack her down onto her blanket. And then I will be back with you guys and show you my sweet girl on her blanket. Well, that's my girl all stitched down. And I think this really added a lot to my still life project. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is kind of sit on it for a little bit and decide, what do I want up here? Do I want anything up here? Actually, you guys, now remember I'm going to have a journal here. So you guys chime in on the comments section and tell me, do you think it's finished? With the exception of, I will do some canthor stitching so it looks more quilted. But let me know, do you feel it's finished? Do you think I should add more things here on the top of the desk? Should I add a few more things around the desk? Give me your opinion. What do you think? Remember, this is going to be tucked under here, and it's going to be mounted onto a canvas. So part of this is going to be, you're not going to see it, but let me know. What do you think, you guys? What should I add to it? Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today for my Slow Stitch Saturday, and I will see you guys on Tuesday for my Journal Making Tuesday. Thanks so much. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.